Have you ever experienced freedom, only to feel lost immediately after? Have you ever stepped out in faith, only to start doubting God the moment things got uncomfortable? Imagine this. God just delivered you from slavery. You've seen the Red Sea split in two. You walked across on dry land. You've tasted the power of a miracle, but then you get thirsty, you get hungry, and suddenly, the God who just saved you doesn't seem so trustworthy anymore. That's exactly what happened to Israel in the wilderness. And it's what still happens to many of us today. In this video, we're going to walk through one of the most sobering and relatable stories in the Bible, the journey of Israel through the desert after leaving Egypt. You'll see how their constant complaining didn't just delay their breakthrough, it almost destroyed their destiny. We'll unpack why gratitude matters, how complaining affects your spirit, and what to do when your promise feels far away. And by the end, you'll see that sometimes the only thing standing between you and God's miracle is your own mouth. Stay with me, because this story is not about ancient history. It's about your today, your mindset, your next step. God miraculously delivered Israel from Egypt, with signs and wonders, with power and plagues, with the parting of the Red Sea. They were free, physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, they were still slaves. God led them into the wilderness, not to punish them, but to prepare them. But they didn't see it that way. The moment things got hard, no water, no food, no direction, they started to complain, over and over again. They grumbled about the food. They longed to go back to Egypt. They accused Moses. They even said life was better as slaves. Think about that. God rescued them from bondage, and now they want to go back, not because slavery was good, but because freedom was unfamiliar. And here's the painful truth. They saw miracle after miracle, yet still did not trust God. When they were hungry, He sent manna from heaven. When they were thirsty, water flowed from a rock. He led them with a cloud by day and fire by night. Still, they doubted. Still, they complained. And eventually, God said, enough. That entire generation, except for two, Joshua and Caleb, never entered the promised land. Not because they sinned with their hands, but because they hardened their hearts. Their mouth kept them out of the miracle. Their complaining revealed a spirit of rebellion, not faith. Let's break this down. First, complaining isn't just a bad habit. It's a spiritual condition. It reveals where your trust is. When you complain, you magnify the problem and minimize God's power. You shift your focus from promise to pressure. And that shift has consequences. I know you've been there too. You start strong, you pray, you believe, you even see God move. But then the provision slows down, or the answer doesn't look like you expected. And instead of worship, your heart fills with worry. Instead of praise, you start pointing fingers. I've been there too. But the danger is not just emotional. It's spiritual. The Israelites didn't just lose time. They lost their inheritance. Why? Because their tongues couldn't stop resisting the very God who rescued them. Second, complaining contaminates the community. One person's bitterness spreads fast. A small group starts whispering, and before long, an entire nation loses sight of God's goodness. Be careful what voices you allow to shape your wilderness. Third, the desert wasn't punishment. It was preparation. God wasn't trying to harm them. He was teaching them dependence. He was showing them that daily manna is just as miraculous as parting a sea. But they missed it, because they were too focused on what they lacked, not who they had. So what does that mean for us today? It means this. Gratitude in the wilderness is what qualifies you for the promised land. It means your attitude while you wait reveals whether you're truly ready for what's next. Some of us are praying for a breakthrough, but our hearts are bitter. We're asking for increase, but we're still complaining about manna. You can't carry a promised land spirit with a wilderness mindset. Let's get practical. What are you speaking over your life? Over your family, your finances, your future? Are your words building faith or feeding frustration? God is listening, not just to your prayers, but to your patterns. And patterns of praise attract the presence of God. Patterns of complaint attract confusion, delay, and sometimes distance. Not because God is angry, but because He refuses to bless rebellion. Maybe you're in a wilderness right now. Maybe it's dry. Maybe it's hard. Maybe you're tired of waiting. But what if your wilderness is not the problem? What if your mouth is? Try this. Just for today, catch every complaint before it leaves your lips. Replace it with a declaration of trust. Instead of saying, I'm tired, say, God, I know you are my strength. Instead of saying, I don't see a way, say, I trust you to lead me. Instead of saying, nothing's changing, say you are working even when I don't feel it. Watch what happens. Your environment may not change instantly, but your spirit will. Let me say this as clearly as I can. God did not bring you out of bondage to abandon you in the desert. The God who delivered you will also sustain you. But you must choose to speak life, even when you feel lack. You must choose faith over frustration. And you must keep walking, even when the miracle feels far away. Here's the truth. Israel didn't miss the promise because of giants. They missed it because of grumbling. It wasn't Egypt that held them back. It was their own attitude. And the same is true for many of us today. God is ready. The promise is real. The door is open. But what you say can either bring you closer or push you further away. So if this message speaks to you, hit subscribe. share it with someone stuck in the wilderness, and come back next time. Because here, we believe breakthrough begins within.